Hey guys, what's happening? It's your commissioner here for the Dynasty. I'm going to do a little recap of the week. If you don't like these videos, it puts you to sleep, Ferguson. You don't have to watch. Yeah, I'm going to go through all the matchups, where I was right, where I was wrong, and everything in between. So I'm going to do in the same order that I did the previews, so let's get right into it. So the Kia Sorrento matchup of the week. Jaquiz, my pants, over Organized Chaos. I feel very justified in calling this my Kia Sorrento matchup of the week. Justin had the lowest points in the league, and Rob had the lowest points among the victors. So this was the game that finished with the fewest amount of points. Now, I said in the preview that if Rob wins this matchup, does he lock up the division? Well, he hasn't locked it up, but according to the projections, I think he wins it 60% of the time. So that's a pretty significant amount. So yeah, this really helps solidify him as the front runner. Along with the projections, they did a very good job of predicting Rob's team this week. He was projected 121. I'm sorry, he was projected 122, and he scored 121, so he was right on. Justin did underperform by 23 points, but it was that the shortage was held among his entire team. Only one guy, Deshaun, outperformed his projections, but no one really significantly underperformed. So Rob with a pretty sizable victory. I think I did pick Justin in this one. Or did I? Oh, I did pick Justin. So, sorry, Justin. Or no, you should apologize to me. The next matchup. Wright's Rampage over Borkham's Ball Busters. I said that this one was going to be a blowout. I did not make it my lock of the week, which I was thankful for. And I thought Wrightsman was going to clean house, or the Rampage was going to clean house. Not the case. The Rampage only won by 3 points over Borkham's. And part of the reason why, because B Cubed, Borkham's Ball Busters, they started out really strong on Thursday with Marshawn Lynch putting up the second most points among running backs. And then Bork was also helped out by his kicker, Matt Bryant, 21 points, most among kickers. So that kept him in it. But Wright was still a little bit too much. He had 3 wide receivers that scored at least 19. Both of his tight ends that he played, probably the top 2 tight ends, when healthy. Gronk and Graham both scored at least 16. So that's where Wrightsman was able to distance himself a little bit. I did say that Bork was not going to stand a chance unless Breeze had a monster game. Breeze had far from a monster game. And still, Bork was right in it until the end. So again, the projections did a good job with Wrightsma. The projections were within 1 of his actual point total. And BBB, Borkham did outscore his by 16. And that was without Breeze going off. So a solid outing from Borkham's. He scored 22 more points than Rob did in a victory. But the win does go to Wrightsma. The Stone Cold Lead Pipe lock of the week did not disappoint either. I called myself the Hurricanes over Bogan, Schultz, Jibo, Gefarlik, Baloney won. I don't know what he's calling this team nowadays. This was tied for the biggest blowout of the week. I was a victor by 47 points. But Baloney had some bright spots, though. Solid play from both his quarterback and his running back. Matthew Stafford, second among quarterbacks this week. And CJ Quarter K and No Sean both did very, very well. Tied for 5th among running backs for both of them with 19 points apiece. So even though he got blown out, there were still some bright spots on his team. But we should probably talk about my team. I led all teams in points this week. Sorry, back to Jibo for just a second. So, solid play from quarterback and running back. His second and third wide receivers did not exactly help him out. Kenny Britt and his other guy, Doug Baldwin, combined for 4 points. So, when 2/3 of your wide receiving core is combining for 4 points, you're not going to win a whole lot of games, especially when you run into the juggernaut that is the Jacksonville Hurricanes. I had 3 players that put up at least 24. I had Julius Thomas and his 3 first-half tight ends to lead not only all tight ends for the week, but all players, period. Just a solid day for the Hurricanes in general. Luck, third among quarterbacks. Happy to see that. It wasn't all roses for me. Jamal Charles and Michael Crabtree. Crabtree I knew was hobbled a little bit. I could have put in Vernon Davis. I decided not to. I liked Crabtree's upside. And if I would have played Vernon, my point total would have even been higher. But I'll still settle for 165. And that was with Charles and Crabtree only combining for 10. So I did leave some points on my bench. Again, I feel justified in making this my lock of the week, as it was, again, tied for the biggest point differential. The next matchup, the Fear Boners over Cecil's Sea Shorts. I'm sorry, Chris. I thought this one was in the books after Sunday's games. According to my projections, Chris wins 99.74% of the time. And then Megatron happened. One of the things that I've been saying for the past couple years, I know probably no one cares about my projections, but I need to allow for big game potential. And I didn't here for Megatron. He almost doubled his projection. But even after you factor that in, Cecil still had a 94% chance of winning going into the last Monday Night Football game. He had Woodhead going up against Malcolm Floyd. Woodhead, PPR, usually pretty good play. He was up 11 points. Woodhead just could not get outscored by 11, and he was outscored 16-1. So, got to go back to the drawing board a little bit with my percentages. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do there, but it wasn't just me that thought that Chris was a lock. I'm pretty sure that I remember seeing even Yahoo said that Chris had a 98% chance of winning. Even in the real NFL, if we remember back to last year's playoff game between the Colts and the Chiefs, the Chiefs had a 99.1% chance of winning. So these can happen. I don't like that it happened already in week 1. So I might change my percentages here a little bit. But another big call that I had in this game was I said that Matt Ryan was going to have a huge game against New Orleans, and I was correct. He led all quarterbacks this week with 30 points. So, Chris, you have that going for you. I'm sorry that I said that you had your game wrapped up. The next matchup, division matchup, the Fist Pumpers / Fist Pumping Like Champs / the Champion Fisters over Masonites. I did say that Andy was going to be way too much for Doug, especially in the wide receiving core. I was right again. 60 points between AJ, Julio, and Macklin. Demarius and Vincent did disappoint a little bit, but still overall solid play from Durz's wide receivers. Doug, where he was lacking, the oldies and usually the goodies were not that good this week. Witten and Fitzgerald with 3 points each, only combining for 6. And then the whole fiasco in Baltimore. If you're going to own 2 running backs from the same team, probably should not be Baltimore this year. Although I guess Rice is no longer on Baltimore, and Rice is no longer on Doug's team because he has been dropped. Just brutal video. If you happen to see that, Rice belongs in jail. So Pierre was going to get the start, and he flopped. -1 points for Pierre, and probably not getting the start going forward. Not to call out who I have a waiver wire pickup for or anything like that. Or is Forsett picked up? I don't know. Whatever. No one's watching this anyway. It was a good week for the Helmholtz, though, because this one also tied for the biggest blowout of the week, with Durz winning by 47. Finally, our impact matchup of the week. Forte Yard Dash over Pulsating Rhino Nuts. I got this one wrong as well. This one, Mike did show up as the underdog. Nuts just with a poor showing all across the board. Rogers, Des Bryant, Keenan, Adrian Peterson, Heath Miller, Dan Bailey, all underperformed by at least 5 points. Rogers, the most notable exception. I did say that Rogers would outscore RG3. The Yahoo projected RG3 to finish with more than Rogers. I called that Rogers would outscore RG3. Granted, it was 9-8, and it wasn't that solid of a victory, but I did call that. Mike had 2 standouts this week, or Forte Yard Dash had 2 standouts. Le'Veon finishing number 1 among running backs, and Greg Olsen number 2 among tight ends. I did call this as well. I did say that Mike would have a strong advantage, a very solid advantage at tight end. That Olsen was going to have a big game. He did have a big game. Brian, I still love me some Cordarrelle. You love him too, I know. I'm excited to get his jersey this week. And looking forward to next week. I will do a preview video later on in the week, but Brian's got a huge matchup against me. If I manage to beat him, he does fall to 0-2, having lost to both of his division mates, and he's got a long climb back up. I didn't do very good in my picks. I went 3-3. I should have just gone with the projections. I would have finished 5-1, but there were 2 underdog picks that I missed on, and then 1 underdog pick. Mike over Brian, Forte over Nuts. That would have missed either way. I'll be back later on in the week for a preview of week 2. Peace.